I've wanted to do for a very long time now. I kind of got stuck being in the comments. Not stuck, but just there's a sense of comfort being in the comments. And this isn't the video I really wanted to come out with, but I feel there's a need to give you guys a real, true introductory video where you get to know me a little more intimately. I'm an avid believer of signs, and something along those lines led me here today. But yes, let's start with the background. So I've been obsessed with true crime ever since my grandmother introduced me to Lifetime when I was a teenager. And some of you might not identify with the Lifetime network as true crime, but in every movie, there's a villain or predator and prey. Somebody ends up in cuffs, somebody's murdered or missing. Any aspect of the criminal world is intertwined with those Lifetime movies, right? So I'll never forget the first movie I watched, A Killer Among Friends with Tiffany Amber Thiessen, back before her 90210 days. The Lifetime Movie Network, oh my gosh, that was on constantly at my first apartment. But something tells me that maybe the media shouldn't be putting out all of the crap they're putting out because it's giving people ideas. I mean, criminals have to get their ideas from somewhere, right? So, I don't know. I feel like the media is totally responsible on influencing people's reality. And I think because media is actually a science, I think that the people behind funding and keeping that boat afloat should be a little bit mindful of what they're putting into the minds of people. Because people are fragile. Our minds are very, very fragile. And they could be like influenced just like that. Because ever since A Killer Among Friends, there has been movies like Girl Fight and the Skylar Neese movie. And they are based on real life events. And that's exactly why I was drawn to Lifetime. Because every movie I watched, I would take away something meaningful, whether it was a life lesson or survival skill, or an example of what not to do in certain situations. So, but since Lifetime, I've had many love affairs with different crime shows or networks like ID, Court TV, Law and Order. What else is out there? True Crime Network. That's a new one, actually. But the Law and Order SVU is my absolute favorite. This is a fun fact about SVU. You know Mariska Hargitay? She's the badass female femme fatale in SVU. But did you know her mother is none other than, the fuck is her name? Jane Mansfield. That's it. Her mom was Jane Mansfield, one of Marilyn Monroe's arch nemesis. Well, she actually modeled herself after Marilyn Monroe. But anyways, I just learned that. And Mariska Hargitay, she actually was in the car that killed Jane Mansfield. Fortunately, she was little enough to make it out of the accident alive, but she was laying on the floor of the car when the accident happened. That's pretty interesting. So there's a fun fact. If you are remotely entertained, please hit that subscribe button because if you can see, I don't have many subscribers. I'm brand spanking new. I'm an ingenue to YouTube, if you will. Anyways, okay. See, I get carried away on little tangents, but you'll come to know that, love me or hate me, I am who I am. Okay? But anyways, okay, so where was I? I hadn't quite gotten to YouTube until the pandemic. Because at that time, I just suffered a major injustice in my life, and it kind of sparked a spiritual awakening. So I was searching for channels geared towards spiritual growth, and just, it wasn't a true crime time for me. So I will tell you this. There is a plethoric wealth of knowledge on YouTube. There's a lot of clowns peddling trash, too. But who would have known? We are living in an information age, okay? We are in the age of Aquarius. There is no reason for people to be walking around dumb. And before I had my spiritual awakening, I was like a feather floating in the wind. Seriously, I was nothing like what I am today. I am so different. Like I actually during my spiritual awakening, I literally went into a shell because the world was so different. Talking to people was so different. People thought I was crazy whenever I told them that we as human beings should not eat meat. I would say uh, God is in our DNA. Like, we literally all have God inside of us. But that's something I don't want to even get into. Spirituality and religion, politics. So maybe that was a mistake to even go there. But I'm just trying to make you guys understand that I went into a shell, and I used to be like a social media starlet, and I was posting like 3 times a day at least. And I just stopped. But I knew that I could do YouTube. I wanted to be a creator from the moment I got here. And I actually did start a page, but I didn't like broadcast it or anything. I just thought I looked weird on camera. You know, like I'm usually used to taking pictures and stuff. I was too in my ego. And the last thing on your ascension process, if you're familiar with spirituality, is the unaliving of your ego. So I think I'm ready for that right now. Right now, that's what I'm doing in front of you folks. I mean, I'm not ready to do the whole live thing yet, so baby steps, right? You have to understand, whenever you're a creator, you have to do the editing process, and I am not good at editing. But if you guys are here for me, you're gonna be on a journey with me, and it's gonna be me growing, me a bunch of trial and error. And I'm hoping that you guys will help me along the way too. And I hope that the people who are in my community are like-minded people, you know, happy people, beautiful souls, um, people that are truth seekers. That's who I want in my community, because we absolutely need to find the truth. And I don't even want to get into the Kylie Rodney case, but something is not right there. And that'll be a completely different video. But first of all, let me rewind. Before Kylie, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie is how I found the true crime sector. And of course, I was bombarded with true crime creator after true crime creator in my algorithm. My mind was blown. I didn't have time to watch all of them in one day, you know, but I had plenty to watch. And like these cases, they just get you so like, you check for updates every hour on the hour, hoping there's new information. And when Kylie Rodney's case just happened, I was so emotionally invested. And I got to a point where I was strained because I would watch Zav Girls' late night lives for hours. And so I got to a point where I literally needed a break. So I ended up binge watching this show. And I recommend it for all of you. It's called Only Murders in the Building. It stars Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. It's an awkward sounding cast, but put together, it really works out nice. And that show actually prompted me that it was time for me to do this. It was so time, because in that show, Tina Fey, she actually does her own podcast, and it's called All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. So the 2 cases I'm going to share with you today, they both happened in Oklahoma. So whenever I heard about these cases, I was like, it's time. It's time. It's written in the stars, Tanya. It's time. So without further ado, I bring to you the Hitalik murders and Brian Laundrie 2.0. Question mark.